For the last 3 days, my videos have been about artificial intelligence and synthetic biology. And it's because of a book that I'm reading, The Genesis Machine, that it's come to my attention that this may be the most important thing that ever happens in my lifetime. And I'm 78 years old. So I've had a long lifetime. And I don't think that we as a civilization, we as a population of the United States recognize the importance of this. Vladimir Putin in 2017 at a college graduation made the statement that the country that controls artificial intelligence will control the world. Well, Vladimir didn't know at that time that that was going to join with synthetic biology, and that was who's going to control the world. And we need to understand that as investors so that we understand what's going on, what's going to happen, who the players are going to be, and where we need to lay down our bets. That's what I want to talk about today, is who's going to take us into this new era that Steve Jobs spoke of in 2011, where the emergence of artificial intelligence and technology and bioscience. Let's get into this.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
To help you understand the consequences of this race that we're in, and that race is with China, this is going to affect healthcare, it's going to affect agriculture, manufacturing, and global warming. The four things that are most important to our world right now. And why is that? Well, let's look at healthcare. If through genome sequencing and genome editing you can take disease out of body, you can also put it in body. So if I have more knowledge than you, China, as opposed to the United States, on genome sequencing, if more of my people are genome sequenced, which in China is roughly 10%, here in the United States, it's less than 0.2% of our population is genome sequenced. Well, China, can develop drugs or viruses that can wipe out your population, while at the same time I'm developing vaccines to protect my population from getting that virus. I can do the same thing with trees. I can take your trees and genetically alter them such that they don't take in and clean out carbon dioxide, while my trees do, so my climate is better than your climate. I can do the same thing in every aspect of life. I can do it relative to global warming. So what I'm telling you is whoever leads the way in genetic biology and artificial intelligence is going to rule the world, okay? So let's look at the competition and measure up and see who should we bet on, okay? Well, the first thing you need to know is that back in 2017, China announced that they were going to fund a program for $100 billion to develop artificial intelligence. Well, our country stepped up and said, okay, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to put up $1.2 billion. Let me just run those numbers again. China was $100 billion. The U.S. said 1.2. At the same time, China went to Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent, and 200 other tech companies and said, we want you to come together and we will finance you to make us a leader in this. That's right. Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu. They're three largest companies. Now, what did we do in that regard? We said, you're on your own. We basically have turned this over to Microsoft and Google and said, okay, you take care of it. And then we've had these small companies, that Editus and Caribou and Beam, who are fighting over who owns the CRISPR patent. In the meantime, China has done more in the field of genome sequencing and genome editing than the United States has ever dreamed doing, because we are fighting. We are fighting among ourselves. We have not created a unified effort. To give you an example of that, right now, Joe Biden and Kevin McCarthy are fighting over the ability to raise the debt ceiling, okay? And Kevin McCarthy has said, if you put forth any more government spending bills, I will not agree to raise the debt ceiling. You must put that in writing and agree to it. Well, then what happens to our genome sequencing, our genome editing, our race for synthetic biology and technology? What happens to that? It's left to Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. It's left to the private sector. On the other hand, you have the second largest economy in the world, the fastest growing economy in the world, saying to its behemoths of Baidu, Tencent, and Alibaba, and 200 other tech companies, let's work together. Let's work together and make this happen. Who are you betting on? Okay? If you use past history as to who to bet on, you're going to bet on the United States. You're going to bet on Microsoft and Google. You're going to bet on them that they're going to reach out into the genome sequencing, the genome editing, and saying, bring it into our fold. I just read today that Google is bringing together all of its high-tech, open mind and brain to form one company under one umbrella, so as to that we can compete in this. We know that Microsoft has put the money up, I think it was $10 billion, to fund OpenAI. And as I say, Google is coming together to compete with that. This is good. But what is bad is we don't have a government institution behind it to help them. We don't have an organization. We call their CEOs before Congress and belittle them and degrade them and say, we're going to take away your monopoly so that you can't compete, so that small companies can rise up. Well, guess what? Over there, about 2,000 miles away, they're organizing their companies to put us under the gun. Again, is it going to happen? I don't know. As I said, you just look at genome sequencing. China has more people genome sequenced, and that is 100 million people. That's what they're doing is they're taking the genome sequencing of these 100 million people and tracking it such that if Joe Wan over here gets a disease and he gets a treatment and it works, well, then Mary Fang over here, who gets the same disease, gets the same treatment, and they have a better medical system. We aren't doing that. We do not allow the medical industry to come together and share our data. Now, is that a surprise? No. We are so divided politically that if our government came and said, okay, everybody has to be genome sequenced, we'd have another run on the Capitol. We would. So it's going to be a tough race. So what am I doing? I'm betting on the United States, and I'm betting on Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Apple. I then believe they need the power of NVIDIA's semiconductors, and I'm betting on a little company called Twist, who is basically taking and putting on those semiconductors DNA so that they can hold more data than what they can today by a multitude of a million. So that's what I'm betting on. Here is a look at the portfolio that I have for this game, plus the biotech companies that I am playing in the game. And I am asking you to come together. Let's come together and make this happen. How can that happen? Well, the first thing you need to do is share this video with anybody that you love or even anybody that you hate, because we need to unite the population to make them aware of the importance of this. Yeah, we got involved in a nuclear race with Russia back in the 60s and 70s, a nuclear arms race, but that came to a stalemate. It basically said, if I launch against you, you'll launch against me, and we'll annihilate the world. Well, this is more secretive. We learned that from the virus that came out of Wuhan, China. Was that a mistake? Was it? It really doesn't matter. What matters is you see what can happen with this science. It can destroy lives, it can destroy agriculture, it can destroy manufacturing, it can destroy or create global warming. This is the most important investment opportunity, and I encourage you to invest in the United States. I was so proud to hear that they are introducing Joe is introducing a bill that could limit you and I's ability to invest in Chinese companies. Again, I told you that Xi Jinping has united Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent to basically beat us up. And if you're then investing in them, what kind of a trader are you? These people are working to bury us. They have openly said by 2040, that China will be the #1 military, economic, and social power of the world. Now you know how they're going to do it. What are you going to do about it? Let's talk about this again some other time.